this investigation, the Farmer Fields investigation. Now, it's quite a short investigation, but there's an awful lot you need to do. During this investigation, you are going to have a total of 2 weeks to complete it. The first thing we need to do is to start reading the investigation. A farmer has 1,000 metres of fencing to keep his sheep. He wants to find a shape that will give him the maximum area. Now, when we're talking about fencing and its particular length, this is talking about the perimeter of the fencing. So to find the perimeter of something, all the values in the shape must add up to 1,000. So what we're going to start off with is we're going to start off with a shape that gives us 1,000 metres, but also represents fencing which is in a square pattern. For example, if we said the length of a particular shape was 250, and its width was also 250. What we're going to have is we're going to have a length of 250, a width of 250, and therefore all four of these values add up together to give 1,000. A way of thinking of this is if we have a square here, using this square, we're saying that the length is going to be 250, the width is 250, the opposite side to this length is also the length, so this is also 250, and this is 250. So adding all the four 250s together, we are going to get the 1,000. And the aim is to find a fence which has lengths that add up to 1,000. Once we've done that, what we need to do is we need to find the maximum area. Now, when we're talking about the maximum area, what we need to focus on is differing values of lengths and widths and how we can manipulate them to find the area. Now, what I'd like you to do is to pause the video and to go onto Google Sheets when I say go. You need to type in length, width and area into your Google Sheets. Below this, you're going to pick a value. I'd suggest you copy what I've done and write down 250, 250, 250 and 250. This is effectively dealing with a fencing pattern that covers a square because the length and the width are the same. Now, to find the area, what you have to do is write the following. You have to do A2, because it's the value in A2, times C2, because it's the value in C2, and then press enter. What I need to show you now is the answer, and our area is given as 62,500. But we need to repeat this process many, many times. So my idea with this is the following. What I'm going to do is I'm going to alter either the length or width by 1, by decreasing it by 1, and then I'm going to alter the length or width by increasing it by 1. So let's say, for example, we're going to start with the length. And rather than starting with 250, we're going to change this 250 to 251. We want to find a variation of this that will give us a perimeter of 1,000. So if we change this by 1, obviously the other length is also going to be 251. What do you think we're going to have to do with the width to make sure this is kept at 1,000 perimeter? Excellent. Hopefully you realise we need to change this and decrease it by 1. So the 250 goes to 249. Now, What you could do is you could manually type in all these answers into Excel, but I'm going to show you an easier way to do it with formula. It's up to you whether you use formula or you use the manual longhand. What we're saying is that when we're starting with the first shape is going to be a rectangle. This one here is a rectangle because we are increasing it slightly. So the original shape is indeed a square, this one here, because the lengths and the widths are exactly the same. But this one, we're going to stretch out one of the sides slightly, and then we're going to shorten one of the other sides. So it's going to start to look like this. And as we continue this pattern, what you're going to find is that it becomes much more different, the difference between the lengths and the widths. Now I'm going to show you the shortcut of how to do this on Excel. So what I'm going to do is on the right hand side, and I'm going to make this smaller now so you can see, I'm going to write the number 1 and then underneath number 2, then the number 3. Now if you want Excel to continue doing this, you select these 3 cells, these little boxes are called cells, and then you're going to drag it down, and it just keeps continuing with the numbers. Now the equation we need to actually do is the following. We're going to keep comparing to our original numbers, and our original numbers are going to be 250, 250. I'm going to highlight these in yellow. So for the first one, we're going to refer to our original number, A2. This is called A2 above. And what we want to do is we want to add F3. F3 is going to be the number to the right. Now you need to make sure that the number is exactly to the right and it's in row 3 if you're dealing with equations in row 3. Press enter. Now this one, we clearly want the lengths to stay the same, because when you change a length or a width of a rectangle, obviously both the lengths are the same as each other and both the widths are the same as each other. So what you could do is you can just write equals this one here. So I've put equals A3. Now we need to do the same to this. We need to write down equals C2, which is the cell above, the one we're comparing it to, and instead of adding 1, we're going to minus 1. So this is C2 minus F3. And then last but not least, we want this D cell to be equal to this C3 cell. So we have our new rectangle. Now, to find the area, you have to times the sides together. So clearly we're going to times the length by the width. So for the previous question, we're going to times A2 times C2 and press enter. What's really clever about Excel is that you can drag things down. So if I drag this down, this will then move our calculations down. So it's then going to multiply these two together. So this will give us our new area of our new shape. Now let's repeat this process again. If we want to change this process, what we could do is we could copy and paste this here. And let's see if it's done what we want. This has got 2 bigger than the previous one, this has got 2 bigger than the previous one, 2 less than the previous one, 2 less than the previous one. But what we've missed out on is the 252. So I'm going to show you a quick trick of what you can do to stop this from happening. You go back to the previous one, and you know that every time we want to keep comparing back to the yellow ones. The yellow ones are our standard for this investigation. So if you want this to be standard throughout when you copy and paste on Excel, what you need to do is you need to put dollar signs around the one you want to be standard. So you put a dollar sign after the A and before the A. And we're going to do the same for C3 cell as well, after the C, before the C. And now, when you copy and paste, it should do it correctly, because now this one is comparing this number 250 and then it's adding 2 and then it's generating a number, which is 252. This one here is comparing this 250 and it's subtracting a 2 and it's giving this number here. And all you need to do is copy and paste this, or what you can do as well is just drag it down and it will do all the calculations for you, which is amazing. So that is step 1 for the investigation. I hope that helps.